I'm in mad scientist mode again today. Well, kinda sorta. Not really mad scientist. More like mad architect. Something. I don't know. Anyhow, I've been thinking about this. I ran across this while we were moving. And I made this a few years ago because I saw it on a website and thought it was cute. But anyway, this is the little prototype that I made. Now, why I covered everything with scrapbook paper except for this, I do not know. This is unacceptable. Maybe because this is my prototype and I was just putting it together to see how it would look. If I can find the blog where I found this, I'm pretty sure it was on a blog or a website. I will put links for that if it's still there. But its purpose was to be this little Christmas planner, and it had these little printouts that you could get off of the website, you know, that were just the right size to fit in the pockets. And this was the little Christmas planner thing. Not really a December daily, but you know, that could certainly work as a December daily. This is back in 2008. Were we doing December dailies in 2008? Probably. I just wasn't. I didn't know about them. I know about them now and I don't do them, so yeah, either way. I'm clueless. I thought the design on this was really cute. I like the, you know, the fold out thing, the pockets, which, you know, and these need to be cut separately so that they'll lay flat and all that, but like I said, this was a prototype. This was a figured out thing. I like that it uses a file folder, and I just think it's basically a good idea. There's lots you can do with it, lots of ways to expand on it. And I love these folio type things, you know, little fold up booklet dealies. To me, they're more fun than a regular journal, you know, or a regular hand-bound book, because that's, you know, you got your front cover, your back cover, and your binding, and there you have it. But with these, you've got your front cover, your back cover, you've got the middle, it folds, it's got automatic pockets, and it's just more interesting. You're limited as to the type of bindings you can use for the pages if you put pages in it, but still, I like these. They're just fun and interesting, and they're great. I thought that this would make a really great travel journal or junk journal or something like that with a few modifications. So I've been kind of thinking about those modifications, and I thought that's what I would show you today. And I might just do this in several parts because I'm totally making this up as I go, and I thought you might like to see how I get from this to whatever it ends up being. I have no finished piece to show you because I'm still trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing. Okay, so it starts with a file folder. I found a file folder. I'm going to use that one. You can use any file folder, but you need to have one, you know how they're cut in thirds, and there's the left-hand tab, a middle tab, and a right-hand tab. This one has the left-hand tab. So you'll just start with a regular size file folder with the left-hand tab. Anytime I start doing this, when I'm designing a different, you know, folio or anything that kind of folds up or has pockets or flip-outs or whatever, I usually do it on scrap paper first because I don't want to mess up, you know, 5 or 10 file folders, folding them and unfolding them and cutting them and redoing, just trying to figure out what I'm doing. So what I did was I laid this down on a piece of scrap paper, just my drop paper that I use when I'm painting, and traced around it and cut it out. And that way I would have a piece of scrap paper that's the exact size and shape of the file folder that I can really mess up and throw away and, you know, do all that until I figure out what I'm doing. So here was the piece of scrap paper. It used to be folded just right, but I've been messing with it. It was the same size as my file folder. And then I started messing with it. And on this one, you can see I mean, it's very obvious how this was done, that this one side was folded up. So, okay, I'll do that. So open up your file folder and then fold up the bottom edge. And I gave it a 3-inch fold. I just used my little grid here to measure, and I came up 3 inches from the bottom so that I've got a 3-inch pocket. And 3 inches is about good because that's going to leave you with an overall length of about almost 8 3/4. That one long one that's right before the 3/4, whichever one that is, I don't bother to even figure those out. But a little over 8 1/2, which is going to be perfect because there's room in here to bind pages, and we can use 8 1/2 by 11 and, you know, fold it so that the 8 1/2 side is right here, and it'll fit just fine. So that'll be good. We don't have to do any major cutting down of paper to get it to fit in here. So, open your file folder out. You fold up 3 inches. Then you're going to close it back up like this. This is what I did during my thought process. Then what I did was I brought this side over here, just made the edge meet the fold there and folded it. Then I brought this side over here. This is the side with the tab, but you want the non-tab edge even with your other edges, and fold like that. So there we have it. It's a little different fold than this. This was kind of an accordion fold, and this one's a little bit different. So now when you open it, you've got this going on and this going on. I knew that I wanted not just pockets like the Christmas one had, you know, it's got little pockets, but I wanted to be able to bind some pages in there. So this would make a really great December daily book, and its size would be perfect because it's almost like a pocket size and easily portable, and you know, it's not so huge that you get overwhelmed with stuff, but still it's got plenty of room for not only daily pages for December, but also pockets to put your stuff in. I don't do December daily, so I don't know what I'm talking about, but I've seen awesome pictures and they're great, and I think it would work for that. Someone who knows will have to tell me. Okay, anyway, I knew I wanted pages to be bound, and if, you know, I bind pages into this the way it is right here, if I do more than maybe 3 sheets, it's going to start having a hard time closing. It's going to get wonky, and if I bind over here again, it's going to get wonky. These two are going to be like this. This one's going to be sticking out. It's not going to lay flat. It's going to be weird. So you have to kind of make room for pages when you're designing a book. You need a little space for that book and for all the pages, because, you know, you're going to add bulk and you need space for that. This is meant to be totally flat. So what you do is, first I had to figure out where I wanted the bindings to be, because I've got several creases here to work with. I've got 3. And I first thought that I would bind pages in all 3. You see, I drew these little things here with the dots, and I did it on both sides to show myself, because I'm very forgetful, that's where I wanted the bindings. And then I was all set with that, but I folded it over. It's like, okay, I'm going to have pages bound here. They're going to be right here. That's going to be good. I'm going to have pages bound here. They'll lay like that. That's good. Oh, if I have pages bound here, that's going to cause a problem with closing, because see, I'm going to have a stack of pages right there, and this could cause a closing problem. It could cause a folding problem. The pages are going to have to either lay all on this side and close, or they're going to have to lay all on here, which means they're going to be stacked on top of these. That's not going to work. So it's really not a good idea to have pages bound in two seams that touch each other. Does that make sense? See, these two seams kind of nest together like that. So I thought it would be wiser just to pick one and bind pages in that one. So I chose this one. I scribbled that one out. Okay, once I had that done, I knew I needed to make room to for the pages, because you fold the pages, you nest them together, and a stack of pages that are nested together and folded in half, that's called a signature. And so you want your signature to have room, because you know folded pages are a little bit fat. So what I did was, it's kind of hard to see. Maybe, you know what? Let me find a pencil or a pen or something so that you can see what I'm doing here. Hang on. Okay. All my drawing pens and stuff are downstairs. All I could find was a crayon, but that'll work. All right. So we've got, this is our center fold that we made, right? And this is our other one, and this is our third one. And I'm going to do it on this side too, so that you can see. There's our fold, and there, and there. So, there we have it. Oh, and I did want to show, I get asked this all the time, and I want to kick myself for not explaining it better every time it happens. But the signatures, this is what signatures look like. This is a Coptic bound junk journal that I made a while back. And the signatures are these little bundles of folded paper. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So each of these stacks of folded paper is called a signature. That's what that is. So I don't want anyone to be confused if you hear me saying signature this, signature that, and you don't know what in the heck I'm trying to say. That's all that is. In fact, if you look at some books on your bookshelf, glue-bound books, you won't see the signatures as easily. But if you have a good hardbound stitched book, look at the top. And if you look real closely, you can see even commercial bound books, they have signatures. You can see them. So that is all they are, just the little stacks of folded nested papers. Now, so we've got our little thing, we've got it folded up, and now we're ready to make room for those signatures, because I don't know how big they're going to be. I don't even know what paper I'm going to use. I am just not that far along in the process yet. But a good rule of thumb is, and it's a good rule of thumb, and it's also a good rule because it's really easy to measure. I usually make about a 1/2 inch wide channel for my signature. And this is real easy because all I have to do is lay this flat, make sure that it's, line it up here. Okay, so it's on this line, it's even. I'm just going to use this grid to measure. And what I did, you see that's right on this line right here. I took my ruler and I went 1/4 inch to the right. And I didn't measure, I just used this grid. And I took my bone folder and creased. And then I went over 1/4 inch to the left of my fold. Took my bone folder and creased it. Then I made new creases on those lines that I just scored. So basically what I have now is a 1/2 inch little spine right there. So my signature will be sewn in the center of that spine, and then that makes the that little edge stand up so that there's room for the pages. Does that make sense? I want to do it for Now this one, remember, I decided I'm not going to bind right there, so I don't need to worry about room for the signatures there, but I will show you what will happen if you don't expand that one as well. Let's go to this one. I'm going to have signatures here, so I'm going to make sure that this is lined up across the bottom, and then there's my center line. Lines up with that one, right? So I'm going to go 1/4 inch to the right, score it, 1/4 inch to the left, score it, then fold on my new score lines. And see, if you know ahead of time what you're doing, you can just measure so many inches over, make a score line. Measure over, make, I don't know what I'm doing, so I really can't do that. I'm making it up as I go. So, this is just the easiest way to do it when you're on the fly like that. This paper is so thin and icky, it really doesn't stand up like it's supposed to. I think you get the idea. That's going to be like that, and then that's going to be like that. So you've got this nice little stand-up thing. Now remember, this one doesn't have a signature sewn into it, so it doesn't need to be expanded to make room for the signature, but it does need to be expanded so that it will close properly. See, if I fold it on that green line, this is not, the front cover is not going to close right. So I've got to measure it. The spine right here has to be the same as this spine so that it will close. So I do just like I did the others. Make sure it's straight. There's my center line. I scored 1/4 inch to the right, 1/4 inch to the left. Made a new fold on the score lines. Now, there you have it. You've got room for your signatures. And I didn't mention, when I went through and I was folding my paper and figuring out what's what, I did mark, this is the inside, inside left, inside right, and then on the back, inside left, inside right, and then the front cover and back cover. I did that because it does get confusing. It makes perfect sense when you're doing it like this. It's kind of obvious what's what, but then when you open it up and lay it out flat, I kind of have to think, what is this? Where does that go? Is that going to be the inside? No, that's the front cover. So that's why I made those notations on there. So, there we have that. Now, from here, I think I'm ready to go ahead and do the real deal on my folder. So once I have this little practice sheet the way I want it, and it looks, like everything's gonna work, it's, the measurements are good, it's all even, it's like I want it, then I can go ahead and do it on the real folder. So I'll just do that. I'll do that right quick. I'll open it up. This bottom edge on the line there. So I'm going to come up 3 inches and make a score line. And then I can fold it, crease it good. And fold it back over where the original fold was. And it's going to be kind of weird because, anytime you fold it up and then redo it. It's got that bulk there, and the paper doesn't want to lay flat because it's, you know, it's too thick and heavy, and that's okay. Just, we're going to make adjustments for that later. Okay, here we are with this part. Now, at this point, if I wanted to, I could go in and measure this, you know, figure out how far to come over from the left edge. Looks like I'm going to come over 4 inches and then 4.5 inches, and then I could do that. No, I'm not going to bother. Folding it to figure it out does kind of give you that extra crease in the middle. I don't care. It saves me from having to measure. I hate measuring. Okay, so remember what I did was I had it like this. Then I brought this one back over here this way. And this, you know, this paper is, it's best if you can score it first, but that would require measuring, so I'm just going to eyeball it, and I'm not going to worry about that, because that is just what happens when you fold paper against the grain, and that's not a big deal. This is a junk journal. And it's not one of those little pristine scrapbook junk journals that a lot of people make, which are perfectly fine. They're beautiful. I love them. But my junk journals are typically very junky. Okay, there we go. Now then this one comes over, and then these two edges meet, right? And we crease. Okay, now let's do, I'm just going to start on this end because it doesn't matter. Each crease has to be expanded. So I'm going to go 1/4 inch, excuse me, to the right. Oops. And 1/4 inch to the left. I don't have a lot of hand and wrist strength. I don't have a lot of speech capabilities either. Anyway, it's hard for me to push down. Okay. There we go. Now, let's make our new crease. Crease edge. And when I get done with this, you know, the next one that I make, I'll be like, okay, now that I've done a few, I need to do this differently and this differently, and this would be easier and that will be easier. You know, it's always, in hindsight, you can see how you should have done things. But we're still kind of figuring stuff out. So just do the best we can with what we've got. Okay, line this one up. 1/4 inch to the right. To the left. Okay. New pieces. If your file folder is that kind that has the little already scored lines where you can expand the bottom, then you're probably going to hit one of those just exactly with this measurement, which is a good thing. Alright. There we go. 2 down, 1 to go. There's this little guy. See, that doesn't look like it quite meets up, and it's probably because I just folded it crooked. But I'm perfectly even across the bottom, so yeah, I'm just going to kind of ignore that line. These are the important ones anyway. 1/4 inch to the right. Turn to the right. Name the movie. If you haven't figured it out, it's Raising Arizona. Turn to the right. I just love that movie. It is hilarious in so many ways. And Holly Hunter in that movie cracks me the heck up. Especially when she starts, that one part, where she starts crying because she loves that baby so much. Oh my gosh, I laugh every time I see that. There's a movie she did a long time ago called Miss Firecracker. It was an okay movie. It wasn't bad. There's a scene in there that is one of the funniest scenes ever. I don't know, maybe I was just, for some reason, when I totally creased that the wrong way. Okay. Pay attention. Maybe it just struck me as funny at the time, but it's pretty darn funny. But there's a scene in the movie where she has dyed her hair red, and she's trying to wash out the red dye in the sink. And she's like crying and washing her hair, and she's got like the snot coming out of her nose. I swear, is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And you probably have to watch the whole movie to understand why it's funny and, her personality in the movie. But she did such a good job in that movie. Okay. So now we have got our, I have forgotten how I do it. Oh, here. Yes. There we go. And there we go. And there's that. And there's that. And we have the beginnings of our junk journal folio. I guess that's what I'll call it. I think I'm going to end this here, and then we will continue in another video figuring out what to do next. So, yeah, stay tuned.